Radio Masterclass. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, they say good energy. Goyle, Yenara Yedia. My name, as always, is Yabanafo, and I'm excited to bring you yet another exciting edition of Masterclass. So, in the last week, we've started a totally different conversation. We've moved on from the previous conversation of bookkeeping and accounting for small businesses. And we've started a rather interesting, or should I say, a vast and broad area of conversation, which also affects our businesses. What we try to do here on Masterclass is to bring you the different aspects of running our various businesses so that we can be 360-degree prepared, 360-degree have information and be able to be efficient in our businesses so that we can have the benefits that we want, benefits of profit, benefits of satisfaction, benefits in all ways that you want to look at your businesses. If you're listening, by all means, we're also streaming live on Facebook. For those of us who are not driving and who are listening to us at home or in the office, you can also follow us on Facebook. The slides for today's conversation will be shared along with the presentation also. Last week, we were privileged to have with us in the studio the president of the Institute of Facility Managers here in Ghana, Facility Managers Association here in Ghana. We're privileged to have him back here in the studio with us, in the person of Mr. Kweku Samson Opare Ajiman. Mr. Samson, you're welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I mean, off air, we're talking about how we're going to be able to do justice to this conversation, even following from last week.
Yeah.
Last week, we sort of spent time introducing the conversation on facilities management and what it was.
Exactly.
And we actually went out onto the streets and spoke to some of our industry practitioners who are in this position already. We're hoping that sometime during the next couple of weeks, we may even be able to have some of them here with us in the studio to sort of juxtapose what we teach, the theory, against what people are actually doing in their workplaces on a day-to-day and how they're experiencing it. And I think that in that conversation, you emphasize very strongly that effective facility management practices definitely also benefit the business so that it doesn't become a complete gaping hole for expenditure, because in every company's budget, one of the biggest spend areas is the capital expenditure budget.
Exactly.
And your capital expenditure budget, also sits squarely on areas like your facilities management, of course, the areas like transport and all of that, but your facility is your biggest spender, if I dare say so.
Exactly.
When it comes to facilities management and your budget expenditure. Today, we want to look at the area of operations and maintenance. Like we shared last week. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be going through a certain trajectory to sort of try and encapsulate the entire conversation. Last week we looked at the overview. This week we're looking at maintenance operations. Next week, God willing, we want to look at health and safety.
Yeah.
And then as it goes on, we'll look at different areas of the conversation. If you're tuned in and you're listening, you're a facility manager, you know someone who's a facility manager, we will be opening the phone lines a bit earlier today so that we want to hear the experience so that we can all learn from it.
Exactly.
Like I always say, life is too short to make all the mistakes yourself. So let's hear what your experience is, what you are doing in your space, some of the innovations that you have introduced, and how you go about things. There are people who have newly been appointed into the role of a facilities manager, and they have no idea. They are supposed to prepare for budget. They don't know what the inputs are. The Institute is here to help. And maybe Kweku, today you tell us a bit about the Institute also.
Exactly.
How people can come to you and learn to become facility managers. There's actually a charter or a course that's available.
Exactly.
So if you want to pick that as a professional, so that's also available. Exactly. Just by way of recap, last week, just give us a quick recap on what we talked about, introducing the conversation, and let's sort of flow, if you like, into today's conversation on the maintenance and operations.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much once again, Yao, and thank you for having me today also. IFMA is grateful, for giving us such opportunity. And like you said, facilities management encompasses multiple disciplines, and therefore one facility manager cannot be an expert in all the areas. These are disciplines that are in the area of architecture, in the area of engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and what have you, okay? And all this come together under facilities management. And therefore, it's very important that this conversation, we bring also some other members on board.
Indeed.
To share their expertise in other areas. So I'm hoping that next week, when we are discussing health and safety, we're going to bring one more committee member to join us in a
Brilliant.
conversation.
Brilliant. I
Exactly.
mean, health and safety is one of those areas where, on its own, it's a
Yeah.
whole
It's
specialization.
a whole specialization.
So it will be
Yeah.
a big feat to try and
Put,
sort of
you
deal
know,
with it in
alone.
one show. But we'll
Exactly.
try.
Sure.
We'll try.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. So last week we sort of looked at facilities management, an overview of facilities management, try to see what it is. I mean, in our conversation, you posed a question that is the facility manager a jack of all trades?
Trades,
And
yes.
then we kind of explained that no, I mean facilities management is a profession with a scope, and therefore if you are not working within the scope, you are doing something else and not facilities management. Although the scope is the spectrum is so wide and broad, it's specific, and we mentioned the 11 competency area that IFMA puts together, to define facilities management.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And like you said, IFMA has been around for some time, and all that we are doing is to try and change the narrative, okay, of bad maintenance culture in Ghana into something better. We are saying that do we really have bad maintenance culture? We think that no. What we are lacking is the education of facilities management and the training of facilities management. Because if you are in a profession space and there are no school running courses to train people, to educate people, and professional bodies to train people of the best practices of the profession, then of course you don't expect anything good to come from that profession. And therefore we think that education and training is more important in the area of facilities management. That can change our narrative of maintenance operation. And I'm glad that today we are going to discuss about maintenance operations.
It's interesting that you talk about education, changing the narrative, helping people understand it better, which are the reasons why, and the lack of these are probably the reasons why people don't understand it, people don't regard it, and it's not performing the way it should. And I'll just say this very simply. Facilities management is a science.
Exactly.
It's not a knee-jerk thing. Hitherto, the approach from many companies has been, oh, anyone can do it. Is it not just paint we're going to buy? But now even paint, we can talk about paint alone on this show.
Exactly.
And the manufacturers of paint will tell you that there are different paint types for different surfaces. In fact, there's textured paint today that actually looks like wallpaper.
Exactly.
So what exactly are you doing? People don't understand that everything you do and apply within this profession called facilities management requires a very deep understanding. It's no longer just go and buy tables, go and buy chairs, go and buy tiles, go and put this in this place, put these lights here, put this here. Now it's become scientific. And therefore it's important to go through the process of understanding it. The same way you cannot just get up and just do some small course somewhere and say you're an accountant.
You're an accountant, exactly.
You cannot also just go and sit
wake
somewhere
up and become a facilities
and say
manager.
you're a facilities manager.
No.
Because if I want to talk, I'll keep talking. Please.
I know.
Talk to us.
I know. We are in the same boat, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a conversation. I think it makes it more lively, when we have it in that way. And so that's what it is. When an architect designs a building, he designs a building for a particular purpose. Okay, you made mention of chairs and lights and what have you in a built environment. That we cannot just wake up and then let anybody just go and buy it. There is science indeed in it. We talk of ergonomics of furniture. We talk of illumination of light area. If we are sitting in the studio right now and everything is so clear, we are able to read, easily and all that. It doesn't just come anyhow. There is a science that goes into it. And that's what we are talking about. The architect designed the building for a purpose, and the building must serve its purpose.
Right.
Exactly. And when you design and you construct and you go through the operational phase, the building must go through the life cycle and it must perform its purpose of which it's designed for. So an office building cannot be operated like a factory, or an hospital cannot be operated like a gym. Okay, we need to understand all these processes. But this stage is what we are going to discuss today. After the building is handed over to the owner, who is in charge to make sure that the building is performing to its purpose.
I mean, let me just chip this in that it's also important. Part of the reason why we say it's a science is that in order to maintain something, you must understand it quite a bit.
Exactly.
You know, we do this not only with facilities management, but with almost everything we do. We buy a new car, we don't read the manual. We go and ask somebody else.
We'll come to that,
we buy a new phone, we don't read the manual. Now, just a very quick example. I found out from a project I worked on that when you do, the reason why we don't use gravity for, you know, back in the day, water tanks would go up and by gravity it would come down.
Yeah.
Today you see a lot of pumps.
Yeah.
Because of one simple reason. Now we're not just making use of land space, we're making use of airspace.
Airspace.
So airspace means that now if you had, let's say, 1 acre of land and you could put a building on it, now you can create enough room for 3, 4, 5 buildings. Only you are going up. Now, because you're going up, the technology changes and you must pump the water up because the water is moving against gravity.
Exactly.
How do you learn that? The engineer will teach you that
Exactly.
because you're going to manage it when he has left. There's a lot more that's coming to my mind right now, but I just wanted to drive home the point that this is why we need to understand that you must go through that learning process in order to maintain it well. I found out, interestingly, that when you put up a building and you do the plumbing, let's say 3, 4, 5-story building, when you pump your water from your tanks into the building, more than 20% of the water is in the pipes.
It's in the pipes, exactly. Yeah.
It's in the pipes. It is not
Stays
even
in the pipes. Yeah.
So, Kweku, talk to us.
Definitely is in the pipes. Yeah, so we are saying that you say this domain of facilities management, like you said in the beginning, is the second, largest budget of any business.
Exactly.
Okay, if we take aside your employees' budget, the facilities is the second largest, and therefore you don't need to put anybody just in there to take care of your facilities because there's so much money that you've put in there, and as a business you want to run a business and get profit or benefit at the end of the day, and therefore you need somebody who is trained who understand the operations and the services of this facility to be able to manage it.
So if you're listening to us and the person managing your facility does not have facility management training, IFMA is available, Mr. Sampson and his team, to help train your current substantives, those who are in the role in that space, so that they can give you more benefit.
Exactly.
If you are now going to hire, please do not hire somebody who did admin alone. Let the person also go through this training. Pay for them to go through this training, and you will get the benefit for it.
You get the benefits for
yes.
it. Yeah.
You can hear this only on Masterclass.
On Masterclass, exactly.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. So I want to say something. There's this gentleman called Alan Kay,
right?
A computer scientist. He said something very instructive, and he said the best way to predict the future is to invent it. The best way, okay, to predict the future is to invent it. What we are coming to talk about, operations and maintenance, is the future of a facility. Okay, when a facility is given to you, its future, you don't know it. Okay, but to be able to know how the facility is going to perform in the future, you need to invent it. And what do we mean by inventing, the future in facilities management? It is employing the maintenance operations strategies, okay, of managing your facility to be able to invent your facility, and what are the strategies that you are employing to bring about to manage your facility and invent it. Every facility is special in its own, and like I've said earlier, has a special purpose, okay? And therefore, the strategy that you are employing, one, very important, and even how do you select the strategies to maintain or manage your facility. It's very important that we don't just go out there and select any strategy. We must understand also the strategies. We'll read in books, we'll read on the internet the different kinds of maintenance strategies. We can talk of the preventive maintenance strategy. We can talk of the predictive maintenance strategy. We can talk of the run to fail, maintenance strategy, and other companies will want to combine the two. Yeah, but which one are you going for? Which one are you going for, and why are you going for that? What are the indicators that inform you to choose the strategy that you're going to use in maintaining your property? Very, very key. Very, very key. Today we want to talk about detailing operations and maintenance, and we also look at the benefit, consequences, and also effects of maintenance operations. And then thirdly, we'll just look at technology advancement. Okay, buildings are becoming very smart, and we need to look at technology
You know, when you
advancement in managing
when you were
buildings as
talking
well.
about the
Yeah.
preventive, the predictive, and the run to fail, something just occurred to me. I just thought I'd chip in quickly. That
Exactly.
oftentimes, because resources are not infinite, we tend to sort of put off some of the things which we consider as not being immediate. So, for example, if there's something you need to do today to prevent a total system shutdown, which would cost you a bit more time,
Yeah.
then we would say, listen, I need the money to do something else. So
yes.
hold on a bit. You put off the servicing of a power plant.
Exactly.
You put off the maintenance of a particular facility. You put off something else that's critical in the building. And then the day it goes off when you're not expecting
You're not
it.
expecting it.
And then it costs you time, it costs you money. So the best thing we're saying here is that in planning, try and plan in the budgeting process
Exactly.
for some preventive approach to some of the things you do. You can't do that for everything.
No.
Because resources are not infinite. But it's recommended highly that you look at a bit more preventive so that it saves you. It may not be direct, but it saves you in the future, having to deal with some of these things.
Exactly.
Coco, please go ahead.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Yao. Yeah, that's very instructive. I mean, in planning for your maintenance operations, yeah. Do we also always have to plan for maintenance, or when we plan for maintenance, we always get it 100%?
Like life, I don't think so.
Exactly.
Like all things in life.
Exactly. So I always say that, you see, maintenance operations is such that the first thing is we need to plan our maintenance operation, because we need to put a cost to it. Okay, and you are working with a business. The business has a strategy. The business has a budget. Okay, and therefore, if you don't plan your maintenance ahead of time, you when your genset is faulty, when you need to fix your genset and you go to the account section and they are not able to raise money for you, it's not your fault. Why? Because you have not planned for your maintenance operations. And therefore, it's very important that whatever strategy that we choose, it's important that we plan for it, we put cost to it, and we are able to see the end from the beginning, so that we can select, what strategy to use, in managing our facilities. Operations activities are just day-to-day routine support functions involving it involves workers. Activities includes operations, upkeep of overall physical surfaces in order to maintain the good condition and appearance of the building. Okay, but these tasks are sometimes in the long term and sometimes in the short term. Let's take cleaning services, for instance. Cleaning services is a very key area of maintenance operations, but we don't regard it as such. COVID brought a lot of
a bit more attention to
attention to it. Exactly, and COVID brought the facilities manager as one of the frontline workers in our business operations. Okay, because it's a facilities manager through cleaning. Okay, yeah.
On the strategic level, would you say that because you don't want downtime,
no
physical things not being there, they are also they can occur as a result of for any reason, whether for reasons of non-payment or reasons of lack of capacity or lack of resource or whatever, is unable to make the supply when you SLAs, agreements, penalties for breach and all of that. What is the role of that? Because you are talking about planning.
Exactly.
I'm looking at it
from the vendor,
from the strategic level, to say that, listen, beginning of year, even prior budget, I'm looking at how do I also make sure, to the extent possible, that I avoid downtime on my access control, on my CCTV, on my water systems, on my reverse osmosis systems, on my solar, on all the systems that will make the building work. And my cleaning, my day-to-day. How would we sort of factor in effective vendor management via SLAs and all of that, to help that process?
SLA plays a very key role in vendor management, okay? Because if there's no contract and everything is just left like that, it becomes very difficult. Let's take a generator again, for instance. And you mentioned something very instructive, the manual of an equipment or of a component. Okay, operations and maintenance simply is planning to manage the downtime of an equipment. Okay,
to minimize it to the barest minimum.
To the barest minimum. to the barest minimum. And therefore, for instance, if you are choosing a strategy of running to fail, okay, of your genset, you realize at the end of the day you lose some potential, service of the equipment, okay. But if you are employing preventive maintenance operation, you realize that you are able to, if not 100%, you are able to achieve about 90% of the full potential of the equipment. And therefore, it is very important that SLAs are put in place. It is very important that the vendor instruction in terms of manuals are used appropriately, okay, in managing our facilities and in giving services to vendor contracting. Yeah.
Another phrase comes to mind, as part of the planning process: reorder levels.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're doing. Talk to us a bit about reorder levels. I
Yeah.
mean, when I say reorder levels, what I mean is, for example, you have, let's say, a supply of an item that helps you to manage your facility. So let's say of power. Power, let's say today power is prepaid.
Yeah.
Okay, today, I mean, a few other things are, you can plan for them ahead of time.
Exactly.
Shouldn't you consider, as part of your strategic planning process, a reorder level which gives you enough room and factors in your should I say your top up period? So for example, it takes you 2 weeks to go through your approval to get approval to buy power.
To buy power, okay.
You are responsible for the power. When that staff from accounting walks in, they have no clue. All they know is that it's working.
Exactly.
And the cooling is working and it's supposed to work.
And they don't know how it's going
Your
to
servicing is scheduled for whatever periods. You're managing that through SLA.
Exactly.
What should an effective facility manager look at in terms of, we want to talk about vendor management for the planning process. What should he look at in terms of reorder levels so that he leaves himself room between the fail point and the point where it gives him room to operate, to avoid it? Because if you're able to do this effectively, then your efficiency is always on the high, and your risks are mitigated to the barest minimum.
Exactly.
And it's important that we drive home this point.
Exactly.
That's why I'm asking this question. That you sort of elaborate a bit more.
It's very key and very important. Like you said, I mean, power is always the best example to give. Okay. Power is always the best example. I mean, what other reorder level will you consider aside your mainstream, energy supply and maybe your genset energy supply?
Fuel levels in your generator, water for the facility,
exactly.
Stocks, depending on what you're doing. I think the list is endless.
Endless.
Yes.
It's always important to have that. It's always important to have that because you don't want to break operations. Okay, you don't want to break supply, and therefore, if you don't have what to fall on, okay, when the mainstream, goes off, then you're going to affect, flow of business, and you're going to affect the business, continuity, okay, and therefore, it's very, very important to have an alternative, okay, so that when the mainstream goes off, you're able to fall on it. We are talking about solar powers now. We are
renewable energy.
Inventors now, okay, that can sustain you for some time when you're
on ATMs
and stuff like that. Is very key. It's very key, and the facilities manager must be able to consider all this right from the beginning.
Surge protectors,
UPSs, and all that. Right at the beginning of your putting your plan and your strategies together, so that you will not be caught, pants down, when your main supply lines.
In a conversation again with some of the people in the industry, they said that literally, and I like the definition that Namomo gave.
Okay.
The other day,
Exactly.
He says you're literally like the landlord because the operation must not, shake in any way on your account. Things must not come to a halt. Downtime must not occur, and if everything is fine, then you are doing your job.
Exactly.
But the moment something goes wrong, and the risk is so high because it has a tendency to affect almost the entire operation and bring it to a halt. And that's why it's absolutely important to be strategic. Your efficiency levels have to be high. And it's by doing the things we're talking about.
Exactly.
Let's sort of share a few more thoughts and then we'll get interactive. I'd like to get interactive a bit early today. So that
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I think we are running out of time. So I'll just quickly look at some benefits and consequences of operations and maintenance. Yeah. We'll look at health and safety in operations and maintenance. Health and safety in operations and maintenance ensure safety requirements are met. Okay. And you need to consider health and safety in all your operations and maintenance strategies. Okay, and this is one of the benefits that you get in employing operations and maintenance, strategies. Life span is increased.
You know, when you talk about health and safety, things like trip hazards, some tile is broken somewhere, some strip on some staircase is broken, a banister is weak, somebody's going to fall. When these things happen, the person who gets hurt can sue the company.
Of course.
You can lose money. That's why it's important.
It doesn't happen much here in Ghana, but it's very, very.
That's why I wanted to,
Yeah, gradually we are getting there. Gradually we are getting there. The chair that you are sitting on, now, if you come and sit on the chair the whole day and then you go back and you're having backache and what have you, I mean, this is what we are talking about.
Yeah.
You will not be able to come back to the workspace and be productive for
Precisely.
the business. Okay, so health and safety is very, very important in operations and maintenance procedures. And like I'm saying, it increases the lifespan of any component that you are dealing with. Because if you leave the components just to take care of themselves, they will break down in no time.
Naturally.
But considering how much you have spent to, purchase your equipment and you are not able to increase their lifespan, it's a cost to the company or the business that you are running. But we are trying to say that facilities management shouldn't be a cost center. Okay, it should be a cost reducing center and profit, bringing, profession. Okay, yeah. There are some consequences anyway, yeah. And we talk about efficiency. Efficiency driven, yeah. Then we are focusing on the core business of the company. Now, if you are able to leave your operations and maintenance to the facility management department, then you are able to totally focus on the core business of the company and run it efficiently, to increase productivity in a workspace. But if that is not given to the expert to do that, then that also has some consequences in our efficiency of running the workspace. Yeah. You wanted to say something? Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I was going to say that the benefits and consequences are available to us. I mean, employee morale. I see employee morale on your slide, and we cannot underscore the value of that. When you work in a space that is very well ventilated, well lit, well spaced, and appeasing. Some people say when they walk into a space and it's clean, it gives them peace of mind and they're able to work well. We have no idea, but research has been done to show that when people work in a space which is properly engineered, let me borrow that phrase, and properly engineered here means that the right furniture, the right spacing, the right lighting, the right ventilation, and all of that, it reduces the downtimes, people absenteeism from work, and it increases output. People are able to sit down and work longer hours or stay at work much longer.
Exactly. And a typical example I'll give you is the I don't know if I should mention it here. It's a Latter-day Saint church. Okay, one of their, and this is a strategic effort at Latter-day Saint. Anytime you walk into their environment, one of the key things that you will see is cleanliness. Okay, and cleanliness doesn't just come; it's part of operations and maintenance. And if you walk into the environment, and like you said, the environment is so nice, appealing, it's welcoming, you want to always go there. And when you go there, you may read, maybe a signage on the wall. You may read something on the wall that will invite you there again. So if it is a business, they are increasing their number of congregants.
Of course.
With just the environment.
And it comes back to the
beautiful.
point about engineering. I'll share something with you briefly, and then we take a quick message from our sponsor so that we can get interactive. I read a research about something very simple, and it comes down to facilities management again.
Exactly.
About the science of smell. Now, there's research to show that some of the fast food companies, have you ever wondered why, and I won't mention any fast food company, there are certain fast foods in this Accra that you probably like or are addicted to. Now, when you think about it, you begin to actually smell it. You are not in the space.
You are not in the space, but you
are
smell
not there.
it. Yeah.
The science of smell.
Exactly.
There's research to show the effect it has and the fact that it actually affects people's spending habits. When you walk into departmental stores in other countries, sometimes you come out and you ask yourself, why did I buy this?
Why did I buy this?
You didn't just buy it. It was a deliberate attempt by the people managing the facility. You walk in there, it's the right temperature. Time of day, You know, when we're coming here, Sammy Forson just talked about the sun is very hot outside. But you walk in there, the temperature is right, it's cool. Now they know that you are tired. You're coming from a very noisy area in terms of sound and all heat and all that. So the music is also great. Then they do something with the ventilation and the perfuming of the space. Most people don't know this. You walk into a space and it smells good. When you walk into train stations in other countries, you smell tobacco.
Exactly. You're very right.
It's not because there's tobacco all around. They deliberately make it like, so they engineer all of these things. And this is at a very high level. But, you know, it's interesting. I think we're going to talk about it a bit more. But we'll just take a quick message from our sponsors so that we can get interactive. You know, because the spectrum of facilities management and its effectiveness is huge and it's broad. Yeah. We'll take a quick message from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Welcome back. This is Masterclass and we're discussing facilities management with Kweku Sampson of IFMA. We'll be getting interactive shortly. We'll be opening the phone line shortly. But I've got some great news for you. If you're listening to us this afternoon and you drive an automobile of any kind, what kind of fuel are you putting in your car and how is your car taking it? GOIL has some great news for us. And so going cashless has never been this convenient and exciting. GOIL's e-payment systems are now compatible with the GH Link, the national payment platform. Now you can use your GH Link card on GOIL's POS machines to purchase fuel. GH Link cards offer additional payment options for fuel purchases at GOIL stations in addition to the Go card. All fuel purchased is recorded automatically on your monthly bank statements, helping cardholders track and manage their expenses. So go ahead and use your GH Link card to buy fuel and all lubricants from any of GOIL's over 400 stations across Ghana. Go cashless and protect yourself and stick to all the COVID-19 protocols in these times. GOIL, they say good energy, GOIL, Yenara, Yedia. If you don't buy fuel from GOIL, I strongly recommend here on Masterclass that you go and start purchasing and patronizing their fuel. Numbers to call right now, phone lines are now open, 0302216541. That's 0302216541. You can also send us your comments on 0551111997. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can also post your questions or comments there. Our production crew will make sure that we get it. Let's get interactive. Let's ask questions. We're talking about facilities management. How well can you do it? Number one, it's a science. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. We have moved on from the days where when personnel management changed to human resources, the way we knew facilities management also changed along with it. We used to call it what? Estate management. We used to call it property management. We used to call it, now it's a science. Together, all those things put together, we call it facilities management because now you are also an engineer. You need to understand what the engineer is doing, what the architect is doing. You need to understand what electrical engineer is doing, mechanical engineer, the structural engineer, structural integrity. Your boss says that we need a new office. You are going to hire a building. You go. The thing is more than one story. You say, we'll take the ground floor. Have you checked the strength of the full building? We were in this country a few years ago when a certain building collapsed. And there were people in it. And it killed them. Structural integrity. Facilities manager. Have you heard that term before? What does it mean? Pick up that phone. Give us a call. 0302216541. That's 0302216541. Let's hear your thoughts. What are you doing in your role right now? What help do you require? And by the way, I know where you can get help. Kweku, tell us a bit more about IFMA, just very quickly, and then while we wait for the phone lines to ring.
Okay, so IFMA is the largest, association of facilities professionals in the whole world. Yeah, and IFMA does trainings and professional trainings of facilities managers. And as we speak with you now, in Ghana, we have less than 100 professional facilities managers. IFMA just started training facilities managers.
Is there a charter today in facilities management in Ghana?
No.
There isn't.
There isn't.
But there's a professional qualification.
There's a professional qualifications, yeah. And this year, God willing, by the close of the year, we're going to have some charter, FMs in Ghana. And so IFMA runs training, professional trainings in facilities management, and you can easily.
When are these
come.
trainings run? If someone is listening, they want to be a part of it.
We do it twice a year. Yeah, so the first quarter of the year and then the last quarter of the year, we run the FMP programs. We also go to companies' space, and if you want your employees to do it in-house, we are able to do that for you as well. You can also do it online. Any help when you reach us, on ifma.org, we'll be able to give you some more information.
I'm sure that you have some phone numbers. Before we end the show today,
Exactly.
we'd like for you to put out those numbers so that
Okay.
if there's someone listening,
Exactly.
they want to be a part of it, they can give us a call. Like I said earlier, you are in the role, you're already doing it. We thank God for your life. But please get some FM training. If you're a business owner, you are now going to hire someone to manage your facilities. Make sure that they are FM trained.
Yeah.
FM trained, because now we're saying that it's a science. It's not just a knee-jerk reaction. You are not just buying things and buying. Did you even know that the fuel you put in your fuel tanks, depending on how frequent power goes off, that should inform how much fuel you buy in your tanks? You have 1,000 liter, 2,000 liter, 3,000 liter. Do you know that the fuel in this part of the world is sediments? Sediments means that when you put it in a glass or a container for some time, it settles. The particles settle. What do they do? The same way you change your fuel filter and your oil filter. There are filters on the generators.
That you must.
And that's how you'll turn it on one day, it comes on and it goes off.
It goes off again.
Because the filter is clogged.
Yeah.
You need to understand. Don't buy fuel for the rest of the year at the beginning of the year and it's sitting there. Explosion hazard.
Exactly.
Sedimentation hazard.
Hazards, yeah.
You can only learn this when you go through a training like what we're talking about. Again, phone lines are now open. Numbers to call 03022165541. That's 03022165541. Pick up that phone, give us a call. Let's have a conversation on what you are doing in your workspace right now. Are you a facilities manager? Are you in charge of your facilities? What are your experiences? What are you doing? Share your thoughts. Let's all become better for it. While we're waiting for the phone line, sorry, let me ask us this question so you can help us.
Before you ask this, sorry, in the month of August, IFMA is organizing a special program in maintenance operations. We are going to do that for beginners, and we are doing that for the strategic, FMs in Ghana. And therefore, in the month of August, we will be rolling out some.
This is
adverts.
2 months from
2 months from now. Yeah, we'll be talking more about it on this platform. When we are taking
Brilliant. So there's an opportunity for you. You want to be able to get some training for yourself. In the month of July, IFMA is running. And IFMA, the acronym IFMA, again, for those who are listening.
International Facilities Management Association.
International Facilities
So
Management
we have
Association.
chapters all over the world. And in Africa, we are only a chapter in Nigeria and in Ghana. Yeah, so we are some sort a foot ahead of the other African country when it comes to facilities management. Yeah, but Nigeria is a bit ahead of us.
Let's take the opportunities and benefit, from some of these things. We're talking about technology. Share with us what role technology can play in aiding the conversation on facilities management.
Exactly.
I mean, you have a business, you're running it. How can technology is helping in every sphere of our lives,
Exactly.
and enhancing it and making it better. How does technology apply to facilities management, and in what ways has it been used elsewhere? And how can we benchmark this?
Technology is very critical to the smooth running of our facilities. And today facilities are becoming very smart and very complicated. IFMA started some 40 years ago because of the complexity that buildings were becoming. And today you and I can testify that it has even become more complex. Okay, we are talking about 10,000, 30,000, square meter facility that you are handling as a facilities manager. You sit in one office. Are you able to manage all the space at that office? Are you able to do that manually? No. You need technology to be able to run this up to date and increase, profits of the business. So technology is very vital. And in facilities management, we have MMS, computerized maintenance management system that we use in helping in managing our space. You sit in your FM office in one corner of the building. You are able to manage all the lighting systems. You are talking about thousands of lighting systems in the facility. How are you going to check that that light is off, that light is on, and stuff like that? You are managing people in this space, thousands of people. Are you able to tell where Ajwa is sitting, what problems Ajwa is having? How does it communicate to you easily? Does it have to walk to your space, to come tell you and people are coming to your space. Are you be able to check who are coming in and those who are going
Visitor
out?
management.
Exactly. Very, very complicated. And energy is one of the things that we need to minimize, okay, and conserve in managing our facilities. How are you doing that? Yeah. Buildings are becoming very smart, and sustainability is becoming the order of the day.
You know, when you talk about, I think I have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Masterclass. Your name and where you're calling from.
Good afternoon. My name is Harrison, and I'm calling from Dodoa.
Oh, Harrison, thank you
Harrison.
for calling back. You spoke to us last week, didn't you?
Exactly.
Yes, please.
Great, great. Talk to us, Harrison.
Okay. I was following the resource person since last week, and he has made a lot of good points to me. I'm a facility manager, and I run a facility company.
Brilliant, brilliant.
I just want to chip in this, that companies try to, they think in Ghana, they think hiring a facility manager is so expensive than maintaining, their own facilities. But the long term of it is that the facility manager saves you more time, and more resource in terms of you focusing on your core activity. So that in terms of managing your property, the facility manager take care of that, and you are able to generate more productivity for your company. So I'll urge companies to try and recruit professional facility managers so that they will handle the property aspect of their business.
Yeah.
You know, in Ghana, normally what they do is that they have a contact of a plumber, an electrician, probably maybe a painter. So when there's a problem with their WC, they just call a plumber. But a situation where you are looking for the plumber, you can't get a plumber, and there's a problem with the WC, and then there's a smell in the whole facility. How do you run your business?
No, I mean, Harrison, let me just chip this in. It's not even when you are looking for them. It's when the service line becomes, problematic, and you need to change that service line.
Yeah.
You see, the difference between technicians and engineers, people don't get it.
Exactly.
But the facilities manager understands the difference.
Exactly.
The technician will tell you, oh, that's how we do it. An engineer will explain the science behind doing it. And that's where people like you come in. So you are right, my brother.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling. And he makes a very valid point. Let me just share this this quick story about why you need to hire the right person for the right job. A story is told of a ship company that had a big ship invested in. The ship broke down. It wasn't starting. So they went around the world, got all sorts of people. They couldn't fix it. They got this old man. And these guys came with their tools and everything. Old man comes with a simple briefcase, opens it, one hammer. The whole company is watching him. He goes into the engine, few minutes, he knocks the side, and he says, start the engine.
Started.
This thing hadn't started for years. They started, boom, the thing is on. Yeah. Everybody's clapping. Old man, well done, bring your bill. Bill is $100,000. What do you mean $100,000? Bring us an itemized bill. Because we saw what you did. You didn't do anything. You just knocked it with a hammer. He says, knocking with the hammer.
Yeah.
$100,000. Knowing where to knock.
What to knock? $100,000.
Of course. So that's why you need a facilities manager. Do I have a caller on the line?
Sure,
I don't. Quickly, let's sort of round up today's conversation.
I like that, yeah.
What's the takeout from today, and what are we looking forward to in our next conversation?
So all that we are saying is that, like we said in the beginning, your facilities is your second largest asset that you have in the business, and therefore you don't want to joke with it. You don't want to just bring in people to manage it who are not trained, who are not qualified. Because at the end of the day, it affects your budget, it affects your productivity, it affects the people who are working in your space for you. So it's very important, to get qualified facilities management to be able to handle, your facilities for you. And operations and maintenance is so key because it improves your facility and also help your equipment and your services to acquire or achieve their full potential.
And it even helps you to get the best value of the investment you've made.
Exactly.
optimum return on investment.
Exactly.
So that if
Optimum.
the thing is supposed to, last
Optimum.
you for
Yeah.
7 years, you get the 7
get the
years. You don't get
7,
5 years, and then you have to replace it.
you have to
So
replace
much
it,
more
yeah.
information. I'm sure that when we continue our conversation next week, next week we're looking at health and safety.
Yeah.
This has been Masterclass. We're super excited that you were able to join us. Next week we come your way, continuing this conversation so that we can make our nation great and strong. My name is Yabana. For up next is The Ignition. We continue with Sammy Forson. Thank you for listening and watching us. We'll see you same time next week.